Good morning, guys. Welcome to week 5 practical for anatomy and character sculpture. Okay, last week we have done our head and the torso. Alright, so this week is a continuation of that progress by adding in the limbs. Okay, uh, you guys haven't uploaded the screenshots of your sculpt. Can you please do that?
Okay.
Alright, cool. I'll see the progress. Bum, 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 bum. Alright. Okay, okay. It's there, it's there, it's there. Okay. Uh, After this, will you upload first, and then once we finish our practical, I'll go back to feedbacks. Right? So, what we have now. Okay, today we are going to add in the limbs, which is going to be um, it's going to be fun as well as it's especially the toes. I mean the fingers is going to be a little taxing, but then again we can always break it down into modular pieces and then slowly add in the details later. Okay, so let's start. You guys have loaded up your ZBrush.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So I am. Can you see my window? Yes.
Yes.
Alright, cool. So alright, let's start then. You've got a problem with merging them. Okay. Merging them. Last week we recap. Whenever you finish a model like this, like for instance, you've already sculpted part of the bodies as well as the head. All this is in separate, say again, separate subtools, right? So how do you want to merge it? Is by first make sure you are arranging the subtool layers in proper. Okay, arrange it in proper, and what you have to do is you have to first select the subtool, the first subtool, the above subtool, that would be better. All right, and you go down to merge and make sure, if let's say now I have the ears and the head separated, so if I want to merge these two, how do I do that? Is I will drag, or you just hold on any of these layers or subtools. You just hold it by just clicking on the layer, hold it, and then drag it above. Okay, and then you can just arrange them like this. Okay, can. So once you have done that, make sure that you are on the the above layer. So here you got options, so you can merge visible, you can merge down, or merge similar, right? So normally I will use merge down, so in that manner it's much more better, because merge visible, sometimes if you forget to off, right, it may wrongly merge, and when it's merged it cannot be undone. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So best is, if you can, off or unhide the rest of the layers that you're not going to merge, and then bring the layer that you want to merge, let's say from the head to the ears, so either one. Okay, so put the head on top and then ears below, example, right, these two. Then you have to just click on merge down, and done. So this two now is one piece. Make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So once that is done, so this one becomes one particular tool, right? So yep, after this you can just sculpt over it and so on and so forth. But after merging, what happens is, if you want to make sure that the lines is not like seen as such, like this issue here, okay, say if I want to soften it, all right, I'll use the smooth brush, okay, but the separation of these two objects will still remain. In order to make sure these two blends together or becomes as one piece, right, completely, so that when you are doing, say, sculpting here, see that
Yeah.
example, if I go for clay brush and I do this and I smoothen it, I will still maintain the lines, the separation, even though this is this shows that this two is you know um, in one layer or one piece. You know what I mean? The line will still remain. So in order to take away that line, you want to make sure everything smoothens and kind of like blends in. You have to go to geometry, alright? And you have to change this to Dynamesh, right? Okay, be careful when you're clicking on Dynamesh. The moment you click on Dynamesh, you will see the entire details will be then washed off. Why? Is because the resolution at the moment is very low. Carmen,
Yeah.
alright? So what you have to do is you have to increase the resolution. You can go like step by step. Do not just go incremental rather than going straight away to 1000 and so on and so forth, because this will add up a lot of poly count. So say about 500 or 600. Now if you do Dynamesh, you will still maintain the details, right? Though it has lost a little bit, but this is still workable. You can still go ahead and do your creases and so on and so forth. Making sense?
Yes.
All right, the
Yeah.
higher you go, the higher it will maintain. But if you can see, the amount of poly count is increased drastically, right? So that's why the advice is, before we go ahead and add in a lot of details and so on and so forth, I would strongly recommend for you to block out first. That's the reason why we are doing block out. The moment we finish our block out, then we go in and like this, we go ahead and smoothen it. See that?
Yes.
Now you will see these two pieces or these two meshes or clays, alright, will be thoroughly blending in, or will be evenly blending in. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? But be careful with Dynamesh. So every time you finish this, and when you're doing a mask, remember, you want to make a mask outside, and it will then recalculate, okay, and will redistribute the poly count again. So shift F just to see how much of density or the wireframe of it, okay, how well the distribution is going to be, okay. So if I do mask outside, every time you adjust, so what it does is ZBrush will try to figure out how to distribute the meshes evenly. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
all right. So Control W is to get the polygon in one color. So then you'll see, okay, this is now won't have like unnecessary artifacts and so on and so forth. All right. So that is step number one. So once you have finished this, what you have to do is, the proper way of workflow is, for detailing, Dynamesh is good with a high resolution and so on and so forth to get all these crisp details and so on and so forth, right? But with this polycount now, if you just hover through the head, itself, right? And the icon here on the tool. So you'll see now the head alone has about 1.3 mil polys, which means that's super dense. Okay, so when you bring it to any 3D object for rigging and so on and so forth, so this will be very heavy, and sometimes it has the tendency to crash the application. All right, so you have to be very careful with this. So there's a couple of ways of optimizing things so that it is well distributed, where as well as it will maintain the what they call low poly count, so that when you bring it on to other programs, 3D application programs, it will then read it properly and will avoid any clashes later on. All right, to make your life easier. So what you have to do is you can go to Z remesher and you can Z remesh this. So if I hit on Z remesh, all right, let it calculate. Can you see the progress? Okay, let it finish. You see this bar here? Yours will be in orange. So it will just go ahead and do the calculation, and now it will redistribute the meshes in proper, so it's clean. Can you see?
Yeah.
Right? So if I off Shift F, right, it will have all this pixelation, but that's fine because later on we can just add in, like, now it has, at the moment it has reduced from 1.3 million to 100,000. Can you see? Because we used adapt. So it's adapting to what we had originally, and it is recalculating and redistributing the polys in proper. So you get a good mesh, good flow. Alright, can I? So once you
Can.
finish up to this level, then what you can do is you can add the divisions. So which means you can divide it. So Control D, and this is where it will, by off Shift F, okay, this is where it will come back to approximately what you had in the initial stage. Just that you have to come back and do your minor adjustment for the creases and for the edges and so on and so forth. Okay, can?
Okay.
All right. So there's a couple of ways of doing things as well. All right. So ZBrush somehow will give you, it is very light in ZBrush. Okay. But when you come out from ZBrush, it will be super heavy. Right. In ZBrush, you can go super high, no problem. 5 million poly count, 10 million poly count, no problem. If your PC is super powerful, you can go up to 20 million. But that is if you're doing like VFX, or for instance, if you're looking at say mm, say um, opening cinematics and so on and so forth, then yes, you need a super high resolution. But then again, we will be able to project this on a low poly. Okay, so Z remesher, back again. You all understand, huh, so far?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a little technical. All right, hang in there and get the idea behind it. All right. So Z remesher, it's where it is going to remesh the entire poly count. As you can see here, this is, I've undo it. All right. I've gone back to the what is it? Dynamesh. All right. When I'm back to Dynamesh, this is where I still have 1.3 million. Right? So Z remesher is now going to recalculate and recalibrate how much of mesh distribution with a proper mesh flow. Right? So Z remesher, once you have adapt, so it will try to adapt to the same say details. It will try to maintain the details as much as it can by recalculating the mesh distribution, as well as giving you a good mesh flow. Make sense? Yeah. So under here, you've got a couple of options under zero measure. You've got half, you've got adapt, double, half, same, and so on and so forth. So adapt size is depending on how much of details you want to maintain. So by default, it will give you 50, but if you want to increase this or reduce this, alright, it will give you a different result. Say for instance, I reduce this to 32, right? So if I now Z-remesh, see what happens. Powerful PCs will go really faster than this one, okay? Depending on what kind of rig that you have. So now this has reduced, all right? So you can see here, this is still adapt. So Shift F, it's not bad. It has reduced it, but it still maintained the details landmarks that we have. Control D. Now you can see, oh, okay, not bad, not bad, right? And then you can move on to smoothen the components as well as adding on details. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
cool. So if let's say you off adapt, right? And then you got half. So now if I do Z remesh, right? So see that 1.16 million we had in the initial. So now it will reduce or it will halve it. Pop, 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 pop. It will go probably about 500 perhaps. Let's see what's the end result, right? So now I have done the Z mesh. If I press Shift F, see that? It will still maintain the entire details and it has redistributed in proper, so you can see all this mesh flow meaning you see how the link is from the loops. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah. So previously it was like haywire a little bit. It's super micro detail. At the moment it's still micro detail, but it is redistributed so that it will recalculate and then will give you a good mesh flow in a nutshell, right? So half you can just reduce up to here. You can smash this a couple of times. So say I hit again, right? So it will go by half. So 1.16 divided by 2. So divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, right? Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. So now what we have. So if you go back here, you see from 400 from 1.16 just now we did once with half, it went to 400 plus, now it went to 200 plus 1000 poly count. So you can smash it as much as you want, right? But be careful. So when you smash it like this again, so the process, see, it has become faster and faster and faster, right? The lower it becomes, the faster it will recalculate and so on and so forth. See that? So let's see how much now, 200 plus and so on and so forth. So here these are the things that it will help you to reduce, and this is a good topology. Alright, this is what you call topology. Okay, Ken?
Okay.
Alright, so you can try with all this and see. Adapt means practically it will try to adapt to the original mesh flows that has been that has been sculpted with a high poly. You will try to adapt to it and then it will try to reduce the amount of artifacts and so on and so forth. So with this now, with half, this is more on legacy. If you want to try legacy, you can hit legacy and see. So then it will make it more different and so on and so forth. Okay. So different results with different options given here. So legacy is the old version, right? So when you're on legacy, so this is the previous versions one. So it will give you a different output. See that? So legacy might work, right? So I've already reduced it to 189, right? So as opposed to 1.4 million and so on and so forth. But it will still maintain the original look, but just a little pixelated. Maybe you want to have a little bit more, right? So now this is about, yep, 178. And the only thing that you have to do is Control D, divide it, and then re sculpt a little bit here and there. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's how you work with by, you know, combining. After that you are adding on details and so on and so forth. So for now I will leave it to here, and then when I come back I do any adjustment and I come back here, so I can start or begin my sculpting in proper. Okay, so we'll talk about the optimization as we move on. Okay, can so the workflow is do the block out, make sure that you have all your components well placed, and make sure the proportions and so on and so forth is well maintained, or say again, well placed. All right, then only you will do the detailing and stuff like that, the creases and so on and so forth. Right, do not go in and straight away when you're sculpting. Sometimes we get too excited, we want to go and do every single um, say all this chisel brushes and so on and so forth. We want to do all these details with, maybe you want to have pinch, right? And then you go like, I want to have all these scars and so on and so forth. Don't do that yet. You know why? Because you have not determined the objects, or you have not practically done your optimization yet. Making sense?
Yeah.
Right? So we'll come back to this detailing later. Right? You get a rough one first, same like how you do your concept art. You'll do your um say again, you will do, let's see, where was I? Oh, sorry, I was reading the message here from Daryl. So anyways, you'll do your silhouette drawings, you will do your blockouts, and then only you'll add your details. Similar to that, it's just that this is in 3D. Okay, so moving on. Any questions before I move on? You get the idea behind it
A bit.
a bit. So why did I do this? What's the main idea and agenda behind this?
Reduce the poly counts
Mm-hmm.
to
Then,
make it smooth, to
right,
make it lighter.
lighter. Okay, cool. Some more?
Second, I have to go.
Oh,
See you
okay.
guys. I got a class, so I'm, I'm
All right.
disconnecting. Okay.
Okay. All right. All right.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Hi, sir.
All right. So how? What else?
Uh,
I'm just moving my mouse here. The cursor. What did we do earlier? What did you do? The first step.
Merge it.
Yes. So merge it to make sure every meshes is flowing in proper. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Cool. So that's the whole idea. So as you move on and you work with your sculpting, eventually you will get the idea behind it. You get what I mean? But this comes with a lot of practice.
Yeah.
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 Okay. So hang in there. Once you get the idea behind it, you don't need to go and do every single thing here, like the crease or the clay polish and blah blah blah. There's a lot of options given to you. Everything will have its own function. Excuse me. But we'll come back to this later. Okay? As you move on to be professional and so on and so forth, you will know what this decimate is going to be, what this crease is going to be, and so on and so forth. Okay? We can try all this. But for now, keep it simple. So Dynamesh is where we're going to use for all this dynamic meshing. So instead of just sculpting from a polymesh and so on and so forth, so here Dynamesh will try to redistribute stuff and then will give you a nicer um, say a nicer blend between two objects and so on and so forth. Make sense? All
Yeah.
right. And then z remesher is practically to re-topologize, right? So either you want to use the legacy or not, you please try it first. Okay, do not be scared. That's why do not go and spend so much of time doing all the detailings yet. All right, make sure the block, the pick shape language is well flushed out, all right, rather than going in and doing the macro details and so on and so forth, right? So don't do that yet. So make sure you try, see the idea behind ZU remesher, Dynamesh, right? So you got Dynamesh, this is always making it dynamic, all right? So you can reduce the resolution, increase the resolution. So every time you do any sort of sculpting or you know any sort of additional polishing and so on and so forth, or creases adding or details, so you do Dynamesh everything. Anytime that you do any amends, then you do your mask outside here, it will then give you or recalculate how the whole mesh has been distributed. Then only you move to z remesher and so on and so forth. Make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, so here subtool again, if you want to merge, make sure the first layer, alright, is the main object, and then the below one is the one that is going to be merged to this object. Alright, say for instance this two, if I want to merge, I will have from top to down, so merge down. Okay, so when I hit merge down, say OK. Now this two is in one piece. Make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, but if I smoothen things around here or anywhere around the joints, as you can see here, it will not be able to see clearly. Why is because it still reads as this two as a separate object. So that's why you have to go to Dynamesh, make sure Dynamesh is on, and you have to do that. Just do a little bit of smoothing and just do Dynamesh, and you can now erase the unwanted lines, and when you sculpt now it will be much more nicer. Okay, see that when I smoothen it, I will take away the lines. Okay, increase the size a little bit. Okay, so now I will nullify the lines that is separating the objects. Can that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the whole idea behind it. Okay, of course.
After Dynamesh, we just mass drag it.
Yeah. You have to do a little amend, like for instance, you just have to smoothen one part. Okay, tiny little part. Any modification, then Dynamesh, then do the mask, so it will Dynamesh it for you. Okay,
Okay.
okay. So here, if not, you will see this too. Say now, if I'm doing this right, I won't see this two blending. It will give me that line here, the separation line. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we try to avoid. Okay? So now let's move on. Any questions before I move on? So you get the idea ready, yeah?
Yep.
Okay? So those who were struggling, like Chuan, you had a problem to merge them. I think one win you had it. The face needs to be adjusted properly, a little bit more. I'll come back to that.
Okay.
Farah, you restarted back. Okay, so needs to work out some more, a bit more faster. Yeah, Daryl, you have it, but your torso, you need to adjust that. Angelina, you got torso is there, but the face. Yeah, so can I? I'll come back to this and I'll let you all know even more in depth. Yeah, so what needs to be adjusted and so on and so forth. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right. A couple of things on ZBrush is every time you finish or every time you see this, there will be quick saving, quick saving, quick saving. All right. Number nine. If you press number nine, it will save the project progress. All right, automatically. It's a quick save.
Oh.
All right, number nine. Okay. Then you just have to be careful with this. The reason why is it is holding a lot of catch files. So catch files means it will add up so much of savings and it will make your disk space smaller because it is just constantly saving for you. And then every time it saves, it kind of like saves over and over and over and it accumulates a lot of now disk space or it requires a lot of disk space allocation, and that's where you will see your C drive and all that getting shrunk, right? So this comes with any application, whether it's going to be 3D, your Photoshop, your After Effects, and so on and so forth. Everything will have the same issue because they will do a catch file. So since we are doing real-time previewing as well as sculpting, so in order for you to clean for ZBrush purpose, right, you go down to preferences, you hit on this preference tab, and then you look for quick save and you delete quick save. Right? The moment you delete quick save, you'll see suddenly, hey, there's a lot of space in my C drive and so on and so forth. Okay, just a little bit of tip.
Delete quick save.
Yeah, preferences, quick save, delete quick save files. Right? So can you see there's maximum of 10 files. So which means it is saving 10 times. 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times. So same project file, it will have 10 project files on your C. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So that one will increase the size and it will take away your disk space. And you will then see, hey, why is my C is so tiny already? Instead of, I had about 20 gig before, now I'm only left with 5 gig. You get what I mean? So once you delete this, so it will clean up the memories. Okay?
Yeah.
Alright. Same applies with Photoshop. I'll show you Photoshop in a while. Okay? Just to make sure that we all do not crash our machines all the time. Okay? So let's move on. The same method as what we have done last week, right? By adding in, subtools. I'm going to go here under subtools by inserting subtools, all right? Inserting mesh actually. So here I will go ahead and then insert like, a sphere, for instance, sphere 3D, and this is where I will start dragging it down first and place it where I'm going to make sure that the arm up to my hand will be formed. Make sense? You can do it with, if you are comfortable doing with different inserts, like for instance the cylinder and so on and so forth, it's up to you. Can I?
Yeah.
Right. So once you have done this, say I am gonna first squash it. I like to work with sphere only for ZBrush, not for 3D programs. For 3D programs, I don't really believe in that sphere. Here, yes. Okay. So place it as much, approximately first to get the size or the length first. Okay. Again, like how we did previously with the ears, it's the same thing, right? Block it up, one, and hold control, drag it down, all right, and then rotate it as much as you want, not too much. Okay, remember it's supposed to be in T-pose, but now we are doing it a little bit, just the maximum, say about this a 15 degrees or 35 degrees, yeah, away from the hips and so on and so forth. You get what I mean? So this is to avoid what? So whenever we are doing rigging and so on and so forth, right? So whenever we are doing that, when we move the arms or the hand around and so on and so forth, when we're moving it, so you don't want it to have an influence on the torsos. You get what I mean? The hand is hand, torso remains in its own cage. So the blend is only coming at the armpit area. You get what I mean?
Okay.
Alright. So when it's too close, what happens is it will then pull. Right? It will pull all these meshes that is nearby. It will influence the movement of the meshes around here. Right? So we'll talk about it even further. So as we move on, but just for now, make sure it is not too close. Do not do this, like straight down. Am I making sense? Don't do this. If you're doing this, you see the distance between the torso and your bicep.
Ah, yeah.
Alright, when it's too near, the moment you rotate your hand, right, or your arm, the moment you rotate, all this will pull, will be stretched. The one is common thing in 3D. Yeah, you get what I mean?
Yeah.
Alright, we'll try to separate it. That's why we call it T-pose. Okay, so even if you're doing your model sheet for your character design, right? Yes, no, the,
Yeah.
the one that you showed with all the orthographics. So when you're doing model sheet for this, right, see how you have, like, the hand is resting straight to your thighs, very straight. So for normally you try to avoid this, you try to open it up a little bit, so say about 35 degrees. So that's when you're modeling, or when a 3D modeler or sculptor takes it, so he will try to position it in proper. You get what I mean? So when it's too straight, it's it becomes a little harder. Okay?
Okay.
Can I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the common requirements in the industry, best practice. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. So it's good to know, huh? Then later, then I didn't know. It will be it's not the end of the world, but we'll try to avoid it. Before we do this is T pose, so which means straight. For the straight T pose, which is also good, right? It takes away all these issues of stretching and so on and so forth. But now, since we have been sculpting and so on and so forth, and been working for different methods and so on with the technology and so on and so forth upgrades, we find it 35 degrees or around 45 degrees of the hand position is fine. Okay, because you want to get this areas fold and bend. You get what I mean? The armpit area when we are rigging. So that is called skinning. Okay, a little technical terms. Don't worry. Don't beat yourself too much. But yeah, that's how it works. So again, do on your left, right? So drag it with control, holding control, drag it down, and then position it accordingly. Say, rotate it somewhere here. Okay. This the arm, you can rotate it a little bit, so you can bend it a little bit so that it gets that L shape. Right. You have to bend all these segments. Why is because later when you want to, in terms of its functionality, when it's too straight, when you want to bend, it won't have that, the folding and then the stretching. Get what I mean? So when you see, when you put your hand straight, super straight, is it painful?
Yeah.
Right? So you will definitely, when you're resting, it will bend a little bit. So the muscle will flex a little bit. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
Alright? So again, take the understanding of how the bone system is and the functionality. It's not just about sculpting. It's not just about doing your drawing just like, super straight. That's why you need to know how it rests, where's the weight is. That's why anatomy is essential. Now, make sense? Why are you doing anatomy?
Yeah.
Right? So whenever you're doing like anything that has like, a little bend, make sure it bends properly. Right? Not super crazy like this. I'm not asking you to do this. You get what I mean? Don't bend it to this extreme, but subtle. Right? Just to indicate, okay, here is the elbow. It's going to protrude out or be, extruding outwards, and then you will have this bicep that is joining the arm. Right?
Yeah.
Right. So this part will be a little relax on your triceps as well. You can see now. Right. Same goes with your thigh and your shin areas. Okay.
Okay.
Clear. So with this now, just do a little bit of, adjustment, approximately like this. Right. Don't need to be super precise yet. Later lah. Yeah. So double check. Now I'll off the perspective. Right. Double check from your orthographic view. Right, and on back your perspective to see how it folds in the 3D perspective view. Right, rotate, make sure you rotate from every angle first. This is a must. Okay, because you are looking from all these angles and making sure the volume is properly retained, yeah, or maintained. Okay, now once you have finished the arm, you just have to do block out. All this is blocking out, and then you drag this end to form the hand. Okay, squash it a little bit. Do it on your left hand side again. The reason why, you are going to mirror it, right? You're going to combine all this and then mirror it to the other side of it. Okay, just do a rough one. Okay, or you can even do it later, perhaps. Okay, so say, let's go up to the arm first. Right, so let's leave the hand by itself. The reason why is, you do one because it takes a little more cuttings, right? And then we will do one set and then paste it over to the other side. Same to the feet. Okay, so
Yeah.
once you finish this, right, so now what you have to do is go to Q, right, just unmask it. So this two is now together because we inserted from one and then we added in within that particular subtool. So this two is under one subtool. So now what you have to do is you are going to go to geometry and you're going to hit Dynamesh. Okay, see that? Again, you see this cut here? Super obvious, right? Because
Mm.
this two is a separate piece and we just combine it. Now I hit Dynamesh. Now you see it has made it to one piece. So it's more like a boolean thingy. You know how you do your Illustrator? You do Pathfinder. So you
Yeah.
merge the same thing. Okay? Try to relate to every software and try to relate with every other subjects that you have already worked on with. Make sense?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So now once you have finished this, okay, first thing that you want to do is you want to block out first. So you go here by holding Alt, hit on the other subtool, right? Drag it, make sure by holding S or your spacebar, right? Increase the size of your brush and then start moving. So use the move tool, increase the size a little bit, okay, just to get your arm, your shoulders properly aligned like that, like overlapping, right? And then folding inwards like that. Okay, you can constantly, you know, um, amend this, but for now, just get the rough idea behind it. Can?
Yeah.
All right, then alternate. Click on this. The symmetry for this is not on yet because we will do it later. Okay, if you want to just solo this, it's up to you. Okay, and then if you want to cut, you can cut in here. There's multiple ways of doing things, but I'm just showing you the rough samples of how I do things, so you can customize it accordingly. Okay, I'm going to reduce this visible count. You'll have this, right? Visible count. If you're using old version or 2018, you won't have this visible count. You'll have, it will just increase and increase and increase. Okay.
Okay.
If you're using 2019, then you can have this the visible counts. Right. So with this now, excuse me. So you've already had Dynamesh on. Now what you can do is you can start cutting if you want to, or you can look at different angles. You can start slicing, so which means you can use your clip mask, clip curve, right? And then you can just cut. Whoop. Okay, cut, 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 and so on and so forth. Right? But this is at this angle, it's quite difficult. Yeah. So what you can do is you can just go to clay build up and start building up. Okay. Make sure the elbow is there, right? So you can reduce it as much as you want. Okay. This you have your triceps. Okay. See that? You have the elbow, the bones, right? Your humerus bones. It is long and then it will penetrate through or inwards like that. But it's straight, right? So your tricep will overlap it. Okay, landmark first. Don't worry about it too much. Can?
Yeah.
Right? Again, reduce certain components to get that. Hey, that's not bad. And then you do the sub, right? drag it inwards, make sure the bicep is in proper. Okay, so it joins around here. See that? Okay, just to get the flow first before we go ahead and do other amends and so on and so forth. Right? So now you know it folds inwards to your armpit. Right? Then you can smoothen it if you want to. Okay? All this is landmarks, landmarks first, landmarks first. Right? So here it is holding. Okay, there's a muscle here that overlaps, right? So maybe I want to make it a little straight here, where it joins the elbow, right? Smoothen it a little bit. Okay, decrease the size by doing Z-sub. Smoothen it just to get the shape right first. So you can use the move tool and drag it inwards. Okay, and soften this area, right? And then what you can do is you can clip off this for the
hand.
yes, for the wrist onwards. Can?
Yeah,
Right. First you will struggle a little bit, okay? But as you move on, as you work with your sculpting, once you practice and practice and practice, and you'll see, okay, actually this is now better. It's faster. It's faster. So don't get frustrated and do not give up just yet. Okay? So please hang in there and do a little testing, right? Then you'll see, okay, it makes sense now. It makes sense now, right? So you do not need to get everything straight away perfect. Okay, adjust it accordingly. For the first is to read the silhouette proper. Okay, you can adjust this. See, even if it's squarish at the moment, it's fine. Fine for now. Can? Now it
yeah,
makes sense.
Yeah.
So once you finish this, use the move tool a lot. Okay, move it, move it. Imagine you're sculpting with clay. That's what you're doing. So you move, 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 just to get an idea. Say this is what you want. Example, it looks fine, or you want to increase the size. So you can always unlock this and drag it to the top, right, where the joint is going to be joined, right? So you can rotate things around and you can increase this size, right? So remember, if you rotate your hand, it should come down here and reach to your half of your thigh. Make sense?
yeah,
That's what it does, right? Half, right? So it goes half of your thigh. So it will have that arc. Right? Clear? So once you finish this, say you want to come back and you want to adjust things around. It's up to you how you want to adjust it. Make sure you get the silhouette right. So press unless you change the colors. Let's say it is maintaining black and white. You press V to not to swap colors, just to see how does the silhouette read is. Make sense?
yeah,
Right? Just read it first. From the silhouette you'll know whether the first look, first impression, whether this is correct or not. Like here you see it's bulging out too much. Maybe I need to add in a little bit more muscles or tendons that is holding the neck or the skull. Right? Can see? Yeah.
yeah,
And then you see the chest, between the distance between the chest and then your neck, where the Adam's apple, your throat is going to form, and so on and so forth. Is it forming properly? and so on and so forth in first glance, right? Before we go ahead and adding all the other details, right? So once you have finished this, say you want to have more with move tool, you can only do this much lah, right? So if you want to have it more, you know, detail a little bit, you can just sculpt on it, right? Go with the flow, muscle flow, right? So this guy will come in, see that? So from here will come in everything that is holding the muscles from the elbow and so on and so forth, right? So this will read from here, then you'll get a little bulge similar to that. Okay, you can do inwards and adjust it accordingly lah. Yeah, can see now it's forming.
Yeah.
Right, later we'll have the details. So now it's just okay, this is fine, right? This is for blockout. I get the idea already. I know later when I come, the bicep maybe it's too much, too big. Is it proper? So shall I need to add on like that because there's two layers, or it has like a balloon that is joining things around like that. Plup, 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 plup. Okay, so it flows like this. Example, just to show you. So if I have like a pinch or yeah, which a pinch tool or dam standard, so it's supposed to come in like that, bloop, like a balloon. Make sense, right? And then it will go bloop from here to here, and then this will have, you can see BDS lah, easier. So see that one, and then this is the point two. Make sense,
Yeah.
right? It's like a balloon, huh? Remember, it always moves like a balloon, bloop, like that. Okay, you can see it overlaps. See that? Now it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
All the muscles is like a balloon. Look, look, look. Okay, see that? So it comes in, it joins here, right? And there's another one, overlap, one, two, something like that. So then you'll have a proper overlapping and muscle structure. Okay, Ken?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same goes with the bone. See, that's why the bone studies is essential, right? So then you can see, oh, okay, this is the landmark. This is how the functionality of this area is going to be, and so on and so forth. So if this two is overlapping like that, because all this is tendons that is holding it, so holding the muscles and so on and so forth, you'll have a little dip here. Why is because this two will be overlapping the tendon that is holding this, and then you have a muscle that is joining to this tendon and so on and so forth. So when you flex it, it's like a rubber band, boom, boom, boom. It stretches and then it kind of like uh, it squashes, right?
Yeah.
Right, cool. So this is an example, right? So once you finish this, say you're happy. This is a bit too much, lah, because now it's bulging like crazy. So what you have to do is you have to adjust this accordingly, right? So you won't have like muscles that is bulging like you know really really protruding out like that. So you wanna make sure it is in a resting position. So when you're doing rigging, especially when you're doing like muscles and so on and so forth, you kind of like, oh, okay, this is this is how, what's the distance of the bulge, right? Muscle bulge and so on and so forth. Can?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Any questions? Happy dopey?
Yeah.
Okay. So once you finish this, what you should do is, next step is, say approximately, like this is not perfect yet. Huh? See from here you can see the faults already. So it doesn't make sense, right? So this is where you go ahead and adjust it accordingly, play build up things, and get the flows correct, blah blah blah, something like that, right? Approximately. We'll come back to this and add on details, but you just want to get the landmarks correct first. So once you have done this, right? Say you want to see, hey, how does it look with two arms, right? So what you have to do is you have to unlock this, right? You can go home, and you can rotate this so that it will give you, or it will reset your transformation, or which means your location and so on and so forth. Now you lock it, you go down here and modify topology, and then you mirror and weld. So this two now is one piece. Okay,
Yeah.
right? So now you got the arms already. Okay, the arms, and then complete the legs, right? The same way that we have done. Okay, you finish that, then we'll talk about how you want to do the hand. Can we do that?
To mirror it's in modify topology.
Yep, modify topology under geometry.
Okay.
Can, but just be careful, just make sure that you have already adjusted your pivot. Okay, this one, press W or E or R, right? You want to see this gizmo, adjust the gizmo, unlock it first, hit home, so it will come straight to 0, right? Make sure it's still unlocked. Drag it down, or if it's rotated in this manner, so what you have to do is you have to click on this arrow here, arrow key, this radial arrow key, click on it so that it will readjust the um, rotation, calibration, and so on and so forth. And then you drag it to where it's supposed to be, like for instance the chest, right? Just lock it. It's a good practice to do this. Then just go pop, done, just to ensure it is going to mirror in proper from the middle. Making sense?
Okay. Yeah.
Alright, so do that first. I'll give you all say about 5 minutes, see what you can come up with. 5 to 10 minutes. 10 minutes lah, yeah. Okay, hello.
We'll try.
Okay, please try. Be confident, try this, and make sure that you get the volumes correct first. So once we get the volumes, you will see your progress will be better and better. You will get better and better along the way. Okay, Ken?
Okay.
Alright, so I'm going to stop the recording for part 1, and then we'll come back and do the second recording. Yeah.